Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. We're reaching you live from Abuja. My name is Obiageli Ugoke and Anna Olainka is our sign language interpreter. Let's take the headlines. President Buhari expresses concern over poor service delivery at the grassroots, attributing to lack of financial autonomy to local government. APC-led government says it has been supporting states with funds to enable them deliver dividends of democracy. Plus, Senate intensifies advocacy against vote buying as the country prepares for 2023 polls. Thanks for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed serious concern over poor service delivery to the people at the grassroots, which he attributed to lack of administrative and financial autonomy as well as integrity in the application of resources meant for socio-economic development in the local government. This was while exchanging views with participants of the Senior Executive Course 44 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
Strengthening local governance in Nigeria, challenges, options and opportunities was the focus of the nearly one-year research work by participants of the Senior Executive Course 44 of the National Institute, undoubtedly Nigeria's apex think tank on policy and strategy. Describing their report as of high quality, President Muhammadu Buhari could not help but give his personal experience regarding the unholy alliance between governors and council chairmen in the application of resources meant for grassroots development.
50 million will be sent to the chairman with a letter that he will sign that he received 100 million. The governor will pocket the balance, and then the chairman, money for the salaries will be given, and the balance he will put in his pocket. This is Nigeria. It's a terrible thing. You cannot say the person who was doing that was not educated, yet he participated in this type of corruption. With all the sacrifices the country is making by putting you through institutions and getting you ready to lead. The fundamental thing is personal integrity. It's a matter of conscience.
The president expressed the conviction that recommendations contained in the report by participants of the National Institute will largely assist in the provision of good governance to the people at the grassroots level and win back their trust in government.
This administration has done so much in building trust between the government and the people. It is obvious that government cannot afford to pay lip service to the recommendations contained in this report. I assure you the report will be treated with the seriousness and urgency it deserves.
While challenging the course participants graduating soon to go back and put to use the knowledge acquired in revitalizing, reinvigorating, and reforming their organizations for effective service delivery, President Buhari promised that the NIPS Establishment Act and Condition of Service will be reviewed and passed before he leaves office. Director General of the Institute, Professor Ayo Omotayo, appreciated the president for his impactful leadership, strides achieved in critical sectors of the economy, and continued support to the National Institute towards delivering on its mandate of providing senior policy and strategy experts now contributing to national development.
We equally commend your efforts in handing over to the next generation an indivisible and secure country come May 2023. For us to perform better as government think tank and attract and retain a world-class workforce, we call on you to allocate more funds to the National Institute, especially for research and maintenance of our very old infrastructure.
The Senior Executive Course 44 of the National Institute has 89 participants who, in the course of their research work, undertook a study tour of 14 states of the Federation, 6 African countries, and 6 other countries outside the continent to have both local and international perspectives on matters concerning local governance. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Away from local government autonomy, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed said that the present administration under President Muhammadu Buhari has consistently supported states with funds to enable them deliver the dividends of democracy. The minister stated this at the 6th edition of the PMB Scorecard Series 2015 to 2023, which featured the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed. Anthony Forson reports.
The Information and Culture Minister, coordinating the PMB Scorecard 2015-2023 series, said it is noteworthy that President Muhammadu Buhari's administration has succeeded in beating the record of past administrations in the area of funding projects and supporting other tiers of government to deliver the dividends of democracy, especially the states.
I make bold to say that no administration since the beginning of the current political dispensation in 1999 has done more than the Buhari administration in supporting states with all sorts of financial interventions. When the administration assumed office in 2015, at least 27 states could not pay salaries. Imagine what would have happened if Mr. President had not offered a helping hand without discrimination to the states. But for Mr. President, most of the states would have been plunged into serious socio-economic crisis with their consequences for the country.
Lai Mohammed pointed out that the support to the states was, however, in the face of paucity of funds.
Please note that the support to the states came at a time when national resources had dwindled drastically, and also at a time of competing needs in many areas, including infrastructure, security, global pandemic, etc.
The Finance Minister, Zainab Ahmed, while fielding questions from journalists, first made the point that Nigeria is not broke.
Nigeria is not broke. We continue to generate revenue on a monthly basis, and these revenues are distributed as fact. And to continue with the tradition of transparency, we actually disclose how much is distributed on a monthly basis to the various tiers of government.
With increase in oil production, revenue, she maintained, is not enough to meet competing demands.
Unfortunately, oil revenue is underperforming because of the criminality, but recently NNPC has reported that that has been curtailed, and we're already beginning to see the pick up in the production volumes, which will mean that more revenues will come to the Federation.
He equally cleared the air on the state of Nigeria's indebtedness.
Our borrowings have been practical, they are sustainable, they are guided by a debt management strategy. There's a debt management board that is chaired by His Excellency the Vice President, with Minister of Justice, Finance, and other ministers, as well as the Debt Management Office. This debt management strategy is being followed religiously. Our debt is sustainable at 33% to GDP. We're still the lowest within countries that are our comparators. But again, I say we do have a revenue problem despite the increase in the revenue.
The Finance Minister explained the reason for food inflation, among other issues.
In our country in particular, the highest component of inflation is food inflation. What is driving food inflation? Food inflation is driven largely by the cost of logistics. Farm gate prices today in Nigeria have declined. But when you move those crops, those produce from the farm to the market, then the cost are high. So it's the cost of transportation that is driving this inflation. We're very concerned about the level of poverty in the country. And it is as a result of this concern that 2 years ago, Mr. President made a commitment to the country that he is going to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty. And there is no ministry that doesn't have within its deliverables some aspect of how to contribute to that. So it's a collective exercise. But it's collective, not just at the federal government, but at the state and the local government as well, because that's where people reside.
On funding for the media, she was specific that government is not oblivious of the critical role of the media, hence they remain partners in progress. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
On the fight against vote buying, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, is advocating the inclusion of civic education in school curriculum to highlight the dangers of vote selling and buying so as to dissuade citizens from it. He stated this when he granted audience to a group known as Polling Unit Ambassadors of Nigeria. Ignatius Nkwo completes the story.
In less than 3 months from now, Nigerians will be going to the polls with a new electoral law. With some major checks against electoral malpractice in the new law, Nigerians are still worried over vote trading. For Nigeria's electoral umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission, vote selling is a big crime and proposes life ban on politicians and political parties found guilty. The visit of a delegation from Polling Unit Ambassadors of Nigeria to the President of the Senate, Senator Ahmed Lawan, provided another platform for emphasis against vote buying.
That any man or woman who is involved in vote buying is a red flag, is a crime, and can be arrested, prosecuted.
Buying and vote selling are punishable. And we have made the sanctions to be very stiff.
Senator Lawan also granted audience to members of the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, led by its chairman, Mohammed Shehu, where he concurred with the request for improved funding for the commission.
The commission is challenged by lack of cooperation by sister agencies as a result of conflict between Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission Act and the Act of those agencies.
A delegation from manufacturers of non-alcoholic beverages in Nigeria also visited the President of the Senate over 10% tax on all non-alcoholic beverages, as he promised to address the issue. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Still from the National Assembly, ignorance of the law is not an excuse, was a reminder the House of Representatives gave Nigerian Oil Company when it claimed not being aware of obligations in relation to the capital allowance, a form of tax relief enjoyed by companies on asset investments in Nigeria. The House is investigating billions of dollars of capital allowance illegally enjoyed by oil companies. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
Egypt Nigeria Limited is among the latest to appear before the House Ad Hoc Committee investigating non-compliance to financial obligations by oil companies operating in Nigeria under the joint venture businesses and production sharing contract with the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited. The team from Egypt was informed by the committee that it got it wrong when it insisted that the company is not obligated to the provisions of the company's income tax.
Our interpretation is that CAPA is not actually applicable to our operation. We are governed principally by the Petroleum Profit Tax Act.
These laws were enacted by the National Assembly, and each law must be respected, except in a situation where that specific enactment has contradicted a section of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The lawmakers also asked Egypt to provide explanation on the payments it has been receiving over the years from the National Petroleum Investments and Management Services (NAPIMS).
The $70 million since 2016 have been coming into your account instrumentally from NAPIMS.
Before the present government took over, the oil companies were owed several cash calls. Our own, if I remember well, was about $1 billion. Am I right?
The company was requested to provide documents on the contracts. The Federal Inland Revenue Service had issued a reminder to all companies on their tax obligations as provided in the Companies Income Tax Act. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Turning to sustainability of Africa's democracy, the near snail speed development on the African continent is partly as a result of inability to embrace common markets, currency and military at the graduation lecture for participants of Executive Course 15 of the National Institute for Security Studies in Abuja. Renowned Pan-Africanist Professor Patrice Lumumba called for decolonization of the minds of Africans so they can collectively confront their common challenges. Kelvin Egonoage reports.
No conspiracy theory will be big enough to hold down a people with a liberated mind. And that liberation must start with the election into leadership in African countries, people with a clear vision of what a progressive Africa should be. Professor Patrice Lumumba, therefore, tasked leaders in the continent to go beyond signing of declarations and treaties, but rise to the challenge of using the vast resources available across the continent to chart a new course for the future of young people whose shoulders lies the hope of the continent.
I'm suggesting to us that there is something that we must look for inwards. Nigeria, when I was a little younger, used to be famous Kaduna, textile industry, leather industry. Then oil came, everything was abandoned. Today, we are in a crisis.
Commandant of the Institute, Ayodele Adeleke, expressed optimism that the lecture would further enrich the horizon of the participants who have painstakingly applied themselves in the last 10 months to the study of new approach to security and governance. They are drawn from security agencies and complementary agencies as well as 5 African countries. The event was also used to present a book, Manning the Gates, in honor of the Director General of the Department of State Services, Yusuf Mangaji Bichi. In Abuja, Kelvin Ebonwaye, NTA News.
We'll take a short break now. More news in just a moment this day.
Latest entrant, latest technology. Welcome to Intel 4G LTE Advanced and experience super fast internet access today. Visit intel.com.ng or any of our stores in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt to get started. Intel. Live more.
Thanks for staying with us. Ahead of the 2023 general elections, the Interfaith Dialogue Forum for Peace has met with stakeholders in Abuja to brainstorm on ensuring peaceful elections. Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Electoral violence, a major challenge in Nigeria. 2023 elections just months away, and leaders of thoughts are stepping in to promote peace in the process. This is a gathering of religious leaders, civil society organizations, and policy makers taking time to put in their best in ensuring violent-free elections in the country.
APC is in power. They lost in Edo. They lost in Osun. They lost in Anambra. So these are developments we should be proud of as Nigerians, that we are improving. We are moving up the ladder in terms of having free and fair election, and everybody should be congratulated, for the roles we have played in making this, possible.
We must encourage ourselves. It's not every time we begin to beat ourselves as if we are not doing well. I think INEC has continued to show Nigerians that if we trust ourselves and believe in ourselves, we will get to our destination.
Part of the recommendations at the meeting is for INEC to ensure registered voters receive their voters' cards and conduct adequate training on the use of beavers for smooth transmission of election results. In Abuja, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Knowledge and the level of awareness of the Freedom of Information Act remained very low since its enactment about a decade ago. This was the observation by participants at an interactive workshop on the appraisal of the implementation of Freedom of Information Act 2011 in Abuja. Adebola Brookslyn reports.
The Freedom of Information Act was designed to entrench transparency and openness in governance through improved compliance with annual reporting obligations of public institutions. This meeting, prompted by the slow level of implementation is to examine the bottlenecks hindering the compliance of public institutions to proactively disclose all requested and required information.
There are some contentious clauses, for example, the meaning of public interest, which is easy for MDAs to hide under.
The more open your government is, the more you're likely to develop. So Nigeria has no option but to see that it opens up its government.
Media practitioners lament the hoarding of information by most government workers.
The civil servants still being in that era of no comment, issue the oath of secrecy. I'm throwing it back to you. How do we resolve that? Because we just have to serve the public.
Whether they are civil servants, they are public servants, whatever they are, there is a law that has been signed. They must provide that information.
Don't wait for people to ask you information. Put everything out there in your website. Let it be there. They'll go there and access it. But it's when it's not there that they come to you to ask. And if you don't provide, it means that there's something, hanky-panky that you are doing.
The forum wants citizens to know that the Act empowers them with the right to access information in the purview of the state. Adebola Brookslyn, NTA News.
China signals ease of COVID policy after mass protest, as Pope Francis is set to visit Democratic Republic of Congo and South Sudan next year. Details of these and more on Global News Updates. Pope Francis' trip to the Democratic Republic of Congo and South Sudan has been rescheduled for early next year. The Vatican announced that the Pope will be visiting two countries in January. He will be accompanied by the Archbishop of Canterbury and the moderator of the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland in South Sudan, where he will spend the last 2 days of his trip. In South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa is facing a possible impeachment threat over the Farmgate scandal. The president has been accused of covering up a $4 million theft from his farm in 2020, including kidnapping and bribing the burglars into silence. A 3-volume report from an independent panel has found that Mr. Ramaphosa abused his position and may have broken an anti-corruption law. He has denied wrongdoing. He said the money was from selling buffalo. The panel's findings have been handed to Parliament, which is set to examine them and decide whether or not to launch impeachment proceedings next week. Talking health, China has signaled a shift in its COVID stance as it moves to ease some virus restrictions despite high daily case numbers. Dozens of districts in Shanghai and Guangzhou cities that have seen rising cases were released from lockdown measures on Thursday. The country's vice premier also announced that China is facing a new situation. It comes as China is seeing mass protest against its zero COVID policy. The unrest was triggered by a fire in a high-rise block in the western Xinjiang region that killed 10 people last week. Many Chinese believe long-running COVID restrictions in the city contributed to the death, although the authorities deny this. For more on health, HIV services have received tremendous improvement since the coming of the present administration in 2015, leading to a significant drop in new HIV infection from more than 103,000 in 2019 to 93,000 in 2021. Basi Taipan reports that this was disclosed at this year's World AIDS Day, where Nigeria was said to be closer to the UN AIDS target of ending HIV and AIDS by 2030, having reached 90, 98 to 95 of the targets.
It is another World AIDS Day. We started with Mentor Mother, not her real name, who came to NTA with just one motive: to share her experience to the wider world and to encourage other women in her situation. She has been living with HIV. That is not the story.
summon courage.
Mentor Mother has a set of 14-year-old twins who are HIV negative.
Information I got.
She advised other mothers to go for tests. If positive, access treatment and deliver their babies possibly without the virus.
The issue of stigma was very high, but then I was able to come out and access HIV services and treatment.
And now to the event, where stakeholders say ending AIDS by 2030 requires collaborative efforts to ensure all barriers to inequality are removed in line with the theme.
This year's theme is Equalize to End AIDS, Equal Access to Treatment and Prevention Services. And it calls for collective action.
We need to increase availability, quality, and sustainability of services for treatment, testing, prevention, so that everyone is served.
That the civil society and people living with HIV are always around the table in your discussion, because you can't be discussing how to fight it while people living with HIV are not on the table.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, who was represented, advocates the removal of treatment gap between children and adults.
It is also important that we equalize for our children. Evidence is also suggesting that while 3/4 of adults living with HIV and AIDS are on treatment worldwide, about less than 50% of the children living with HIV and AIDS are on treatment.
The event featured the launch of online contribution to the HIV Trust Fund to ensure more people living with HIV have access to treatment. Basi Taipa, NTA News.
Still talking health, the 2021 National Malaria Indicators Survey report and the Advocacy, Communication and Social Mobilization Strategy and Implementation Guide have been launched in Abuja. Uche Ugochukwu reports that the two documents review the milestone in the effort towards elimination of malaria in Nigeria and the way forward.
Malaria has remained a major public health challenge in Nigeria, where 1 in every 4 persons is infected, according to WHO's reports, with children under 5 years and pregnant women being the most vulnerable. The country has no doubt been experiencing though slow but steady decline in the prevalence of malaria, from 42% in 2010 to 22% in 2021, as evident in these documents unveiled.
This current strategic plan was developed based on the epidemiological stratification and sub-national tailoring of interventions that was done for us to achieve impact.
I wish to urge partners and friends working in the malaria landscape for planning, development, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation for a consistent, cohesive, social and behavior change project for malaria control interventions.
National actors in their limit. This is not tracked in the current National Malaria Indicator Survey. Therefore, the Advocacy, Communication and Social Mobilization Strategy and Implementation Guide also unveiled, and this
has been our sign language interpreter, and I am Obiageli Ugoke. Thanks for your time.
iPad, tablets and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also international on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA.
Tallata marka wani aiki mun dauko ka ba musa sakon gwamnatin dole mu isar gun dukkanin jama'a mu yau asibiti duka matasa har manya mu yo addu'a ga babban shiri don gyara kasa ta ba ku daina ba cikin fara. Atuwatu, 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 sai a jagaba, sai atuwatu, wada musu jagaba, asuwatu.
The recent visit to Kano by the APC presidential flag bearer, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was a litmus test to party's potentials of winning the 2023 general. As big as it is, the airport was too small for the mammoth crowd that turned out to give the August visitor a rousing welcome. In a long motorcade, Mr. Tinubu wore its inauguration.
Ni na san ba na gida fi kyakkyawa ba a kai shi ba. Ta kyakkyawar duba ta fara daga Laraba. Babu musu ko ya zauna a Legas ya san jagaba. Shi ya saka 'yan takarar bangaro mai cancanta sama. Limamin tafiyar tilon kwada kan aka saba a kai shi ba.
Abin da ya kawo mu nan wannan gini wannan gida an gina gidan sama domin tabbatar da nasarar jam'iyyar mu da suna ɗaukacin sarki da girman annabinsa sallallahu alaihi wasallama. Muna roƙon Allah ya tabbatar mana da nasara a nan kuma za su zo nan ya kama su da
for consultation. At the same time, we seize the opportunity to open the state and the national campaign office of the APC. And that is what has happened now. And our chairman, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, seized the opportunity in the presence of the presidential candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and his running mate, Senator Kashim Shatima, in their presence. And then the office was declared. This office, as you can see, we are here at the state coordinator's office. Each governor of APC is a state coordinator of his own state. And also there is an office for the DG for the state, and there is office for the zonal coordinator for the presidential campaign in this edifice. But there will be not enough time for us to go around.
February 2023 will be full of joy and happiness. We will not regret what we are doing. We will move Nigeria in the right direction. God will spare our lives, give us good health. So you women,
You are the most consistent and the most talented species of humanity that can do three things at the same time. Woman will hold the baby, breastfeed the baby, knit sweater, weave sweater, watch television, and hold conversation. Without you, we cannot survive. Without you, there is no nation. We thank all of you. But I won't look back. I'll look forward to Nigerian February. This party will see victory. This country will experience progress. This office will be filled with joy come February 2023. We are confident.
Also inaugurated by the APC standard bearer was the party's presidential campaign coordinating committee office along Audubak Way. That wasn't the end of it, as Tinubu moved to Zaria Road, also in the metropolis, to perform same function at the APC Performing Artists Secretariat.
Tallata barka wani aiki mun dauko ka ba mu sa sakon gwamnatin dole mu isar gurin dukkanin jama'a mu da wasu duka matasa har manya mu yo addu'a ga babban shiri dan gyara kasa jama'a ku dai na ba an yi shiri na yalo ta komai kowa ma ya samu sana'a Say Asuaju, Aba say Asuaju, say Jagaba say.
The APC presidential flag bearer's visit to Kano is not for campaign rally, but consultations and heart-to-heart talks with key stakeholders.
We are so happy with this community, business community of Kano State. I know you held several meetings involving all the chairmen, all the executive of various more than 100 markets in Kano. And you all resolved to hold this very important thing for him. Can I say this is an endorsement? This is an endorsement.
Being a commercially oriented state, the first set of people he met was the Kano business community. Mr. Tinubu assured that economic rejuvenation is key in his agenda and their recommendations will form part of his policy implementation strategies. He also sympathized with Kantunkwari traders and other people affected by this year's flood disaster and announced a donation of 100 million naira.
Flood devastation which you have gone through. We have to raise each other's arm, help each other survive, and be a good Samaritan to one another. For the victim of the flood that devastated Kano, I am giving you 100 million to solve that.
Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje said to the presidential candidate that Kano is an APC stronghold and the party would enjoy voters' mass support.
Discuss with you, get your consent, but you even presented the consent before we even tell you why we are here. Thank you for endorsing. You have endorsed our presidential candidates and his running mate, and that is what we are looking for. We thank you for that. About the security situation in Kano, we are sure we will continue.
The consultation continued with leaders of various Islamic groups. This is to ensure that all religious issues are well attended to and grey areas properly addressed.
Assalamu alaikum, Jama. I stand to accept your endorsement. And inshallah, we will win the presidency. Inshallah. And little notes and the content here is in my brain. I promise they will be done.
Considering the unique pace of development in Lagos State, for which Bola Ahmed Tinubu laid a solid foundation, Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje observed, Nigerian electorate have no alternative to the APC candidate during the 2023 presidential elections.
Objective has been achieved because right from the opening prayers, endorsement came from the sheikh that opened with the prayers. He opened with the prayers requesting and praying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should make Sheikh Al-Haji Ahmed Bola Tinubu the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 2023. And also prayed that my deputy, my able deputy, Dr. Nasru Yusuf Gowna, to be the governor of Kano State. That is the first endorsement. The second endorsement by the professor from Bayero University. His speech is an endorsement. And the third endorsement in the PBC card. So what else do we require? Allah, inshallah, has answered our prayers.
Another set of religious leaders was made up of the Kano State executives of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN.
Because when we consulted the Christian Association of Nigeria, Kano State chapter, to be here because of this dialogue and consultation, the result we received, positive result and affirmation. There's no doubt in every organization, in every society, in every community, whatever you do, the question is leadership. Even in your church, the question of leadership. There could be a good leadership in the church.
the church will progress with the peace and stability and acceptability by the worshippers. If there is no good leadership, there is disarray, discontentment. And you know at the end of it what will happen. The same thing in the mosque. The same thing in communities, different communities. What of government? What we require is leadership. And leadership, you can anticipate leadership.
Mr. Tinubu addressed unpalatable issues being propelled by pundits regarding his choice of running mate.
To so many of you, if you go to your doctor and they want to take a blood sample, do you ask whether that nurse is a Christian or a Muslim? You follow them to the laboratory and find out whether the expert is a Christian or a Muslim. Let's see you. How many of you have gone to Dubai or Israel or Jerusalem? When you get to the airport, they choose airline for you. Did you ask whether the pilot is a Christian or a Muslim? Or you pray? All you pray that day when there's turbulence, is it Jesus Christ? Get us land safely. It's only turbulence. Some people will remember it's a name called Jesus. Once the pilot lands you, you go your way. The pilot will go continue with his job. The same blood they take from your vein, it's the same blood they take from my vein. Blood is blood. It's only the DNA that will be different. And if you are at the point of death, you have no way of ascertaining whether the blood transfusion that they're giving you is that of a Christian or a Muslim. What is your survivor?
Another important meeting held at the indoor sports hall of the Sani Abacha Stadium was the various sport groups promoting the legacies and agenda of the APC presidential candidate. He was assured of mass mobilization of voters to ensure that the APC will not only win, but with landslide victory.
wani aiki mun dauko ka ba mu sa sakon gwamnatin dole mu isar gun dukkanin jama'a mu da wasu duka matasa har manya mu yo ada ga babban shiri dan gyara kasa ta ba ku dai da ba an yi shiri na yana wata komai kowa ma ya samu sana a gyara tsaro da kowa ma zai kwana gida cikin fara asuwaju 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 asuwaju
asuwaju mutum ne mutunta mutane mun sakiyanka mun san da zuwanka rana ta naɗinka mun san yi barka ƙarshen mutuminka da biyanka ya sauka ni barka barka hannun su barka annati asuwaju 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 ba ni kiɗan mawa tuni mu ɗauki gudajen ya budu da fara maganar sai ya yi musan da shi ya ci yi kudin da arewa mu bar koyewa
Tunubu lokacin da yana gwamna a Lagos, ni dan kasuwa ne, kafin a rufe boda, da muna shan wahala 'yan arewa a Lagos. Tunubu ne ya gyara komai ya ce keep Lagos clean. Haka. Ai da mutane. Don haka duka dan arewa in je dan Najeriya ne kai yanzu Tunubu ya kafa Lagos. Muna roƙon Allah yadda Tunubu ya kafa Lagos. Kashim ya kafa Maiduguri su zauna Allah yi taimako a zabe su matsayin shugaban kasa mataimaki yadda Najeriya ma sai an mata baranda. Kuma bari zai mata Tunubu da yake yana da tunani yana da ilimi ya rike Lagos. Sai ya rike Ganduje. Gaskiya ne. Saboda ya san me Kano kenan Ganduje. Gaskiya ne. Ya rike Taraba, ya rike Jalingo. Sai ya ce to in ka duba ga gwamna nan lalon.
Bola da kashin, bola da kashin. Dukan nasara na tare da shi. Bola kudu da arewa ana ra'ayin. Shagaba mai gida dukan nasara na tare da shi. Bola kudu da arewa ana ra'ayin. Shagaba mai gida da fara na samu tuwaye. Allah mai shirin yare shi ya yi safi yin sanyi. Da ba mini waka ce zai a kan shi wanda ake ra'ayi mai san magano kyawun ne wadanda talakawa na ƙasa sun kafa kauna shi zai shure nisan tafiya ba wata karkara dukkan nasara na tare da shi jagaban Najeriya
Jam'iyya ta masu ado fansi masu taimako na emergency wanda ya aje shi ya kwamfi ya zama soya APC dodo mai kishin APC a tafa domin APC. Dan Allah a tafa da APC. Daga APC sai APC ga shi ka sanyi AC yan cikin ta an kwata lasisi tilas ko kuɗi sai APC. Gangamin mawaka an tara gadon wakar kuma mun fara a cikin ruwa mun kaga allura so mun samu mun gyara ko sun kwake sai mun
You and the members of your delegation and the National Council of the campaign, you enjoyed your 2 days stay in Kano. There is no gainsaying Kano is very, very committed to the politics of Nigeria, to the politics of APC, and to the politics of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We are advanced in politics and politicking. We use knowledge in our application. What you have seen so far is not a one-day program. It's not a program based on beating about the bush. It's a complete package using knowledge in application. And we assure you, we will give Bola Ahmed Tinubu the highest votes in this country come 2023.
For Mr. Tinubu, having enjoyed his overwhelming support from a swing state is a rare privilege, and I showed that he will never disappoint the good people of Kano.
And you came with PVC, nothing more. Thank you. God bless you. God guide you. Nigeria will prevail. Thank you very, very much. May Allah be with you, guide you all through, and give you His blessings always. Bless you.
The Federal Character Commission, FCC, wishes to clarify that it is not a public employment generating agency, but an implementation organ of the Federal Character Principle. Its key mandate is the enforcement of the principle of equitable representation of all zones and regions of the country to reflect balance in recruitment and the distribution of resources. The balance targets fairness in ethnic and regional representation in all federal government ministries, departments, and agencies. At the core of FCC's mandate is the protection of the interests of all Nigerians, irrespective of ethnicity or place. Please note that the FCC is not recruiting for public agencies, as the MDAs have the mandate to do so.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Character Commission.
Is far beyond our expectations.
He's the secretary of Odile House.
My mouth is full of appreciation to Federal Mortgage Bank
Good evening, and thanks for keeping a date with us again on another episode of Everyone Deserves a Home, a program sponsored by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria to showcase its activities towards bridging the housing gap through mortgage financing. I am Kauthar Anumba Halil. Recently, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria introduced the non-interest mortgage loan to the market in order to meet the needs of its contributors who, for one reason or the other, cannot opt for the interest-based mortgage loans. What is this loan all about, and how can it be accessed? What makes it different from other mortgage loans? This is what we shall be looking at in this episode. We shall also have our regular segments in this package for today. I'll be back after this short break for the full program.
These houses are expensive. How can he afford to buy a house in this place? Mommy, how did you get money to acquire all this?
Mommy, sit down. I got this house through the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria rent-to-own loan. The loan allows me to keep paying my rent until the amount I've paid sums up to the cost of the house. Then I stop paying rent and I become the house owner.
You mean to tell me that kind of thing exists here?
Everyone you see in this estate is a beneficiary.
Don't give me some wine and let me drink in my son's house.
At the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, everyone deserves a home.
Welcome back. We will begin with the news. Topping the lineup tonight are highlights from the inspections and monitoring by the management of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria in Abuja. Details of this and other stories shortly.
We just decide to start. This is the only place that's.
The management of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, led by the Managing Director, Mr. Maduhamman, has continued its site inspection of FMBN-funded projects within the Federal Capital Territory. The inspection, which is a key part of the bank's operations, is done to ensure that developers deliver projects according to the bank's standards. Sites visited included Madvan Global Services, Copen Investment Multipurpose Cooperative, Dede, Docks Multipurpose Cooperative Society, Karsana, Manreg Nigeria Limited, Cafe District, DPR Staff Multipurpose Cooperative Estate, Dape District.
The assessment is reasonable.
The Managing Director, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Maduhamman, while speaking in an interview, commended developers who are working according to guidelines set by the bank. He called on such developers to complete their projects on time in order to begin packaging of takers.
On the whole, I think the assessment is reasonable. A few are on track, and we are quite happy with the level of development so far. And also for those that have keyed into such projects to start packaging mortgage loans or rent-to-own loans for them to take over their properties.
Maduhamman called on those lagging behind to step up efforts towards completing their projects, pledging the bank's support.
We have a few that have lagged behind due to operational challenges. Some were started about the time there was a COVID lockdown, so they've been project overruns, and we're trying to see how we can assist them to meet up with the expected deadlines.
Executive Director, Loans and Mortgage Services, Lukman Mustafa, while speaking, noted that the inspection aims at having FMBN projects completed and to see firsthand the action management needs to take to facilitate timely delivery of projects.
Today, our inspection
centers around the fact that our projects needs to be completed in order to deliver value to the contributors to the National Housing Fund. And the objective of today's monitoring and inspection is to see what actions and decisions we need to quickly take so as to see to the completion of our numerous projects around. And I can say that so far so good. Most of the projects are ongoing as planned. And those ones that have one or two issues that are outside the scope of the design, we'll go back to our office and go and take actions that will lead to their timely completion. This is with a view to ensuring that the contributors to the National Housing Fund scheme move into these houses as quickly as possible so that the objective for which the fund is established, which is to ensure that the workers of Nigeria, the low to medium income earners, are able to have shelters, their own homes over their heads.
The Managing Director, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Maduhamman, has called on Nigerians in diaspora to invest in the Nigerian mortgage sector to improve the economy of the country. He was speaking at the 5th edition of the Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit, which held recently in Abuja. Hamman noted that investing in the Nigerian economy will help in the delivery of more mortgages for Nigerians.
A twin existence of trust engendered by honesty will galvanize the commitment of diasporans to invest in their families, friends, and the country, leading to a huge economic transformation. It is in view of the foregoing, and in order to broaden the delivery chain of the core mandate of Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, that we've developed an National Housing Fund product for Nigerians in the diaspora. This product will afford Nigerians in diaspora the opportunity to register with the National Housing Fund scheme, make monthly contributions, and ultimately be able to access mortgage loans at reasonable rates in order to own their houses back home.
Speaking on behalf of the chairperson, Nigeria Diaspora Commission, Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa, Secretary of the Commission, Dr. Sule Pasi, said the summit creates a platform where Nigerians in diaspora can interact with investors and partners within and outside the country.
The Nigerian Diaspora Investment Summit is a platform where Nigerians in the diaspora interact with potential sponsors, interact with potential partners, interact with collaborators and government officials with a view to investing their resources, skills, talents, and global exposure into the Nigerian economy.
Also speaking, coordinator of the summit, Dr. Badewa Adejugbe Williams, said many success stories have been recorded over the years due to the policies that have emanated from previous summits. The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria had an exhibition stand at the summit to market the NHF Diaspora Mortgage product.
Because this program is for Nigerians in diaspora, it's an investment summit, so that's why we are marketing the Nigerians in diaspora that is coming on stream before the end of the year.
Group Head Special Products Lowell Isaac Ofresori stated that the bank is in talks with the Nigerian Diaspora Commission for the formal launching of the product scheduled for the end of the year.
The program is Everyone Deserves a Home. The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria has the interest of all its contributors at heart. and the bank continues to develop unique products that meet the needs of different target groups. To this end, it has introduced the non-interest mortgage loan to the mortgage market. Let's find out what this product is all about and what makes it different from other products of the bank.
The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria has a clear vision, which is to have as many Nigerians as possible enrolled into the National Housing Fund scheme so that they can benefit from the scheme. To achieve this goal, the bank has continuously modified its products and services to meet the varying needs of its contributors. Developing new products is another way the bank is exploring to further meet the housing needs of its contributors. At the beginning of the year, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria introduced a new mortgage product into the market. This product is created to meet the needs of contributors who, by virtue of belief, are not inclined towards interest-based transactions.
The non-interest NHF mortgage loan, as I mentioned earlier, is to cater a whole lot of Nigerians who, according to their beliefs, are more tended towards non-interest products. And we know for the sake of inclusion, of financial inclusion, and making our products more accessible to a wider range of NHF contributors, that has occasioned the need to come up with this product.
The non-interest mortgage loan is a system of mortgaging that allows for a repayment of mortgage loans without any interest attachment.
As the name suggests, you don't pay interest on the loan, but there's an agreed repayment procedure or repayment arrangement that conforms with the guidelines, the extant guidelines on non-interest products. So there is a repayment by the beneficiary, so that it takes care of making profit for us, as well as providing services for the beneficiary of that product as well.
Currently, the non-interest mortgage loan is only asset-based. This implies that the FMBN grants the loan only on mortgage basis to contributors who want to acquire houses through purchase.
The product came up as a result of agitations from Nigerians. Some people doesn't want to apply for loans that entail interest. So that was why the bank came up with the non-interest mortgage loan. And it was easier for us because we are dealing with assets. We are not like giving cash. For now, it's on funded houses. We have not extended it to other products of the bank because the non-interest applies on assets, and the bank is creating asset by building houses, by funding estate.
The non-interest mortgage loan cannot be accessed for construction or in the place of a construction loan.
If we say we have to extend it to construction, that means we will be the ones to go and be buying the building materials for the individual. And I don't think we have the capacity to engage into that retail aspect. So that's why we are restricting it to completed properties.
NHF contributors can also access the non-interest mortgage loan under the NHF loan products.
So the NHF mortgage loan, it's provided through the primary mortgage banks. And so the individual applies through the primary mortgage bank to enjoy this, to get a wholesale mortgage from the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, and is extended by the primary mortgage bank.
To access the non-interest mortgage loan, a contributor needs to meet the following requirements, which include an up-to-date NHF passbook, an application letter, and equity contribution for NHF loans.
the applicant will just go to any of our offices and say he wants to apply for the non-interest loan. And then he will identify the property, mostly because for now we are restricting it to funded estate. Even if the property is outside the funded estate, as long as they can submit documents that a mortgage can be created upon, then we can process it under the non-interest. We will sit down with the applicant, assess his income, look at the cost of that house, and see how much we'll pay for the house or how much the house is to us. And then we put up a markup and then ask him, if you want this house, this is how much you are going to pay us. And this is the monthly or annual payment you will make to own that house.
As with other NHF loans, the property to be acquired under the non-interest mortgage loan must not exceed 15 million naira.
What is the name of my grandson? Suleiman. That's a good name. May the Almighty preserve him.
Amen.
Now that your family is growing, this is the time for you to start thinking of a house of your own.
Abba, the thought of this has always been on my mind. To build the house now, you need a lot of money, and that is what is holding me back.
Sonny, what you need is a mortgage. NHF mortgage loan. With NHF mortgage loan, you own a house upfront and pay gradually over a long period of time.
Abba, I will go to the FMBN office right away.
Come join us at FMBN and let's shelter Nigeria together.
Glad to have you back. We love to share stories of NHF beneficiaries to bring you testimonies of people who have benefited from the scheme and to let contributors know that there is hope. Again, we'll share the story of another beneficiary of the National Housing Fund scheme. Hear how he went about his home ownership journey.
I can assure all Nigerians that if you apply, once it is available, you will get.
Definitely the scheme is free.
It's a big testimony to stop paying rent.
Excellent. Seriously excellent.
It works and is real.
This beautiful two-bedroom bungalow belongs to Mr. and Mrs. Richard Emmanuel. They are now homeowners at the FMBN Latte Estate, Kauru, Nasarawa State, courtesy of the National Housing Fund scheme. At first, Mr. Richard did not believe in the reality of the National Housing Fund scheme until he became a beneficiary. Richard, who is a realtor, is familiar with the National Housing Fund. He did not let the opportunity slip out of his hands when he heard about the FMBN Latte Housing Estate, which was being constructed at the time.
Because of the nature of our work and the level of experience we have in the government's effort to help get affordable housing to people, we registered and got our passbook for the housing contributory scheme, and so after that we were looking out for products that were available in the market. And when LAPI came up with this product and they were developing something, we inspected the place, we saw it, we loved it, and of course, because like I said, being from Nasarawa State myself, so we saw it, and the location was just too good for us, and then we met them at their office and sought to know what to do. And they introduced us to Federal Mortgage Bank, who assisted us to get this house.
Richard Emmanuel, who has lived in the house for 5 years now, got a two-bedroom semi-detached bungalow at the cost of 6.5 million naira only. He tells us how it feels being a home owner.
One of the first thing you get is a peace of mind, discovering that you really didn't pay for, you really didn't part with so much to own your house, right? And then now that you have the house, you're living in it, and then you are made to liquidate the loan gradually. I mean, it keeps you very focused. As a young man, you'll be able to do a lot of other things together, because you're living in your house and you see a lot of people dreaming of having their own home, and you're already living in your own house, and you parted with not so much, and you are paying it gradually. It's actually a dream come true, and it settles one from a very young age.
For him, buying a house outrightly and paying via mortgage is a much easier arrangement.
You have gotten a house that is already certified. It means you have government title to it. Acquiring a land and processing your title is one hurdle, right? Getting your title and getting your building approval to start up a building is another hurdle. Now, assembling all the professionals that you need to start building your house is another thing entirely. I bet you don't want to experience the challenge on site between yourself and your workmen. You have a lot of stress that has been taken off you by the developer. You understand? It's a whole lot of stress, and so you pay for this amount, and you already have keys to your house. It's a whole stress off.
He describes the NHF scheme as a scheme that gives hope especially to low and medium income earning Nigerians.
This is one product that the government has offered people, especially young people like me, to give them hope, to say yes, we can be better as a people, we can be organized as a people. If you are doubting if this is real or so, please visit the Federal Mortgage Bank at their offices and get some information. I think you can even Google them, check their websites, get more information. These things are as real as your name is.
Our question for the week is, what documents must a cooperative present to access the Cooperative Housing Development Loan?
The cooperative society goes through an accreditation process where they provide all the details of the registration of the cooperative society, bylaws, and all that. And their office, which the bank will now accredit. At the same time, accreditation process would be done on the developer himself. So that gives the bank the comfort that they can borrow, and their membership and their developer is also in a position to also develop on behalf of them. In addition to that, they provide their land, design their buildings, do the bills of quantities to tailor to their affordability. They also seek planning approvals from their respective planning authorities in the locations that they would want to build. So when that is all together, put together and sent to the bank, we now give approval, and they now get approval and go to site and begin to develop.
This is where we draw the curtains on this episode of the program. You can watch other episodes on our social media handles showing on your screen. Until I come your way again with another edition, visit the bank's website at www.fmbn.gov.ng or visit any of its branch offices near you for more information. Remember, everyone deserves a home. Have a good night.
It's joy to the world.
Oh yeah, it's that time of year again.
FRCN, NTA, and Voice of Nigeria's service of 9 lessons and carols ushers us into the joyous mood of Christmas.
With beautiful renditions from different choirs that will lift our spirits.
Theme, Fear Not.
Venue, National Christian Center, Abuja.
Date, 4th December 2022.
Time, 3 p.m.
Message giver, His Eminence, Most Reverend Daniel Oko, President, Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN.
Special guest of honor, His Excellency, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, GCON, Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Hosts, Directors General, FRCN, NTA, and Voice of Nigeria.
Chief host, Alhaji Lai Muhammad, Minister of Information and Culture.
FRCN, NTA, and Voice of Nigeria's service of 9 lessons and carols, supported by Christian Association of Nigeria.
Come worship with us as we celebrate Christ, the newborn King.
Be there.
What is happening? Your eyes are red. You are armed with a machete and a gun.
See, I'm angry and I can't even contain it. See.
My guy, calm down, calm down.
See, Oga, I have planned to go and destroy these people's businesses in the city. I have to retaliate for what they've done at their own place. They cannot eat their cake and have it now, never.
If you destroy their business here, and they destroy that of those close to you over there, especially that your brother who sends you steady cash, how would you survive? Would your dreams be on hold?
What you're saying is correct. But I'm still angry.
Best way is to embrace peace. With peace and unity,
my people, let us embrace
place.
peace and unity. Let's learn to live as brothers and sisters for a progressive, prosperous nation. This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Welcome to Africa, the land of ancient civilization. From the National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA. This is NIDA Impact, your guide to a digital Nigeria.
NIDA's increasing interests in the development of blockchain is because the technology is in line with the national agenda for a digital economy, that is the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy, NDEPS. The development of NIDA's Strategic Roadmap and Action Plan SWAP is a strategic plan towards achieving the NDEPS, and there is high interest in emerging technologies. With blockchain technology supporting these new age concepts, NIDA believes that we can expect that the future will belong to decentralized resources. On today's episode, we are looking at blockchain technology. NIDA positions Nigeria for the future of blockchain. I am Joseph Johnson, and this is NIDA Impact.
This is NIDA Impact, your guide to a digital Nigeria.
You can be a part of this program by logging on to our website at www.nida.gov.ng or all our social media handles displayed right on your screen. Let's begin with what's making the news headlines this week.
Pantami launches broadband infrastructure for institutions, markets, and book on skills. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy visits site of Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center, expresses satisfaction with work done. Plus, DG NIDA reiterates support to young innovators at AppLab Fellowship Program.
And now the news proper. The Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, has launched the provision of broadband infrastructure to institutions, markets, and distribution of ePod, as well as the presentation of his latest book, which he personally authored. At the launch in Abuja, the minister used the occasion to once again reel out the achievements of the ministry under his supervision. NIDA Impact Senior Correspondent Sophia Ogezi has more.
The quality of personalities in this hall clearly shows the love and acceptability the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, enjoys from within and outside the academic circles. This event can better be described as the proverbial using one stone to kill two birds. But in this case, the stone was used to kill many birds. The launch of broadband infrastructure for higher institution and markets and distribution of e-parts, among other various events featured at the gathering. In his welcome address, the Chairman Governing Board of the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, Adeolu Akande, explained that the deployment of broadband will increase the quality of education in Nigeria.
I therefore look forward with keen interest to the successful implementation of these projects so that Nigerians can enjoy the huge benefits derivable from them.
In their separate remarks, chief executive officers of parastatals within and outside the ministry, including the Director General of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, Kashfu Inwa CCIE, eulogized the Honorable Minister for his uncommon commitment and leadership qualities.
The broadband we are launching today, if you combine it with this book, it will help us achieve digital economy. I want to congratulate Honorable Minister for this giant stride and all the parastatals under the ministry.
For the man of the moment, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, the occasion was an exciting one for him, reeling out his ministry's numerous and laudable achievements. The minister also discussed the content of the book as it relates to skills and unemployment.
We must try to ensure that we prioritize the training over the certificates. We go to university for training and skills. That certificate is just a validation when we are confronted with what is the evidence that you have attended that. But it should not be our prerequisite and our preference. The skills and the training should be our prerequisite and should be also our preference.
High point of the occasion was a presentation of the book titled Skills Rather Than Just Degree, authored by the Honorable Minister himself, and the presentation of e-parts to Vice Chancellors of benefiting institutions.
By extension, all of us here who have taken degrees in Nigeria and outside Nigeria, I present this book in the name of most gracious.
Even though this is not the first book written about Professor Isa Ali Pantami, this one is special because it is authored by him. Sophia Ogezi, reporting for NIDA Impact.
Similarly, the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, says the Muhammadu Buhari administration has successfully diversified the nation's economy through rigorous implementation of the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy, NDEPS, for Digital Nigeria. Professor Pantami disclosed this when he paid a supervisory visit to the National Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center being built by his ministry through the National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, in Abuja. NIDA Impact correspondent Gabriel Ono reports that the Director General of the agency, Kashfu Inwa CCIE, promised timely completion of the project without compromising quality and standard.
It is on record that the digital economy sector in Nigeria took a new dimension with the appointment of Professor Isali Pantami as the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy. In its efforts to ensure effective implementation of the ministry's mandate, Professor Pantami sought and got the approval of the Federal Executive Council for the construction of the National Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center through the National Information Technology Development Agency NIDA. This visit by the Honorable Minister was to assess the level of work done and to ensure that it is in line with the approval of the Federal Executive Council. In his speech before touring the facility, Professor Pantami noted that the Muhammadu Buhari administration has successfully diversified Nigeria's economy through rigorous implementation of the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy (NDEPS).
I am glad that the project is being constructed by an indigenous company. By implication, we are supporting our local economy. We are creating many more jobs for our citizens, and among many other things to be achieved. And I'm glad that up to this stage, the project is being executed by a local company.
Representatives of the construction company, Cosgrove, gave a breakdown of the project and its level of completion, while the Director General of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, Kashifu CCIE, appreciated the Honorable Minister for ensuring that the support and funding needed for the successful execution of the project was always available.
It is not an easy task, and our teams and the consultant also have been working day and night to ensure we meet the expected quality as well as we deliver within time frame.
During the tour of the giant facility, the Honorable Minister asked questions and sought clarification where necessary. At the end of his tour, Professor Pantami expressed satisfaction with the quality of job done and commended the contractor and the indigenous construction company.
I'm very comfortable with what I have seen here because I'm here firstly since it has been approved by FEC. It is our responsibility to ensure that any approval by FEC under our supervision is being implemented according to the agreement. And this is exactly why I am here, to make sure the implementation is according to agreement when it comes to the capacity, the rooms there, the office is there, the training centers. Based on what I have seen, all these things are in alignment with what the Federal Executive Council has approved.
The center, when completed, would be a one-stop shop for all stakeholders in the tech ecosystem and the digital economy sector. Gabriel Onu, reporting for NIDA Impact.
The Director General of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, Kashifu CCIE, has re-echoed the agency's continuous commitment to supporting young innovators in the country. The DG stated this at the opening ceremony of App Lab Fellowship Program, organized in collaboration with Young Innovators of Nigeria. NIDA Impact correspondent Gabriel Odu now reports.
The App Lab Fellowship Program, organized in collaboration with Young Innovators of Nigeria, is to empower young Nigerians with digital skills needed to compete with their contemporaries globally. Speaking at the opening ceremony, Director General of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, Kashifu CCIE, represented by Dr. Salihu Abdul Karim, lauded the initiators of the fellowship program. The DG disclosed that NIDA would continue to support young innovators in Nigeria in its quest to put Nigeria on the global map of emerging technology countries. He also used the occasion to speak on the many programs NIDA has embarked to support startups.
The overall goal of the IHAT is to establish companies which are largely incorporated under the CAC by young Nigerians, produce minimum viable products of their innovative ideas, establish connection between startups and investors, enable NIDA to analyze the startup ecosystem, and take necessary actions to improve the ecosystem through government actions and incentives. We at NIDA believe that our youths must be trained and given the right skills in order to participate in the knowledge economy and create wealth for themselves and the country at large. We know that the government alone cannot do this, and it is encouraging to see organizations like yours helping the country in this respect.
Founder and Chief Executive Officer of AppLab, Juliana Onyichiali, further speaks on the fellowship program. She also appreciated NIDA for the support given to her organization while looking forward to more collaborations.
The idea about the fellowship program is bringing youths off the streets that do not necessarily have the ideal skill to become a developer or to become a technical entrepreneur. We bring them in, train them for free for the next 6 months, make them ready for the future skill sets. And then at the end of the day, they get to be employed, get opportunities with other international companies who get to outsource their skills, and then they get employed officially. NIDA is like the umbrella for all the techies in Nigeria. So we will be having partnership with NIDA to make sure that this project continues, not just the first batch. We get to have them continuously, and we're already in touch with NIDA talking about ways of collaborations.
Beneficiaries of this fellowship program are optimistic that it would greatly impact on their career as techpreneurs.
Gabriel Onu, reporting for NIDA Impact.
This is NIDA Impact, your guide to a digital Nigeria.
Time now for NIDA's cybersecurity update.
E-commerce scams and how to protect yourself is what we are going to discuss with you on this week's cybersecurity update. I am Mansur Ali Hassan, and thank you for joining us. Over the years, online trading has grown to be an easier, faster and more flexible way of buying and selling commodities on the internet. The growth of this trend has made it very lucrative and also attractive for cyber criminals. E-commerce fraud or scams is a range of deceptive methods that are used by an individual or group of individuals to carry out fraudulent activities like ripping, stealing of credit card credentials and other transactional information. Cyber criminals create online stores and make them look as legitimate as possible for any intending buyer to believe in the legitimacy of the store. When an intending buyer makes inquiries about the product, the cyber criminal posing to be a legitimate seller responds with a positive feedback, giving the buyer an assurance that he or she is making the right choice if it is the intention of the buyer to make a purchase. After the buyer goes ahead to make the purchase, the cyber criminal then stops responding to the messages sent by the buyer and goes as far blocking the buyer from sending any more messages and even putting any call through to the store. This is a perfect example of an e-commerce scam. How to protect yourself from e-commerce scams? Avoid doing business with unregistered online stores and companies. Ensure that you take advantage of fraud detection solutions when dealing with online stores and companies. Make sure to carry out thorough research so as to find out if an online store or company is legitimate. Do not give out any of your personal financial information to any online vendor without confirming if the vendor is legitimate, tested and trusted. Go through the reviews the company or store has to ensure credibility. That's all we have for you this week. Stay tuned for more updates, and thank you.
Blockchain trends have already found applications in e-commerce, healthcare, supply chain.
This week's special report is on blockchain technology. NIDA positions Nigeria for the future of blockchain.
Protection against identity theft. Spending on blockchain solutions by businesses is forecast to hit $11.7 billion in 2022. Businesses are becoming more aligned with blockchain as it is essentially a digital ledger of transactions that is duplicated and distributed across the entire network of computer systems on a blockchain. The top 10 trends to look out for in blockchain in 2023 include asset tokenization, dApps, private blockchain, mainstreaming of DAOs, NFTs focused on real-world utility, blockchain with AI, the maturing of DeFi ecosystem, enterprise blockchain, the evolution of smart contracts, and the rise of Web 3.0. A new wave of the internet, or so-called Web 3.0, based on blockchain technology,
is approaching ahead of schedule. It gathers supporters worldwide by offering decentralization, data security, and online freedom. Not surprisingly, the blockchain market experiences unprecedented growth. From $7 billion in 2022, it could grow to $164 billion in 2023. Global spending on blockchain solutions has amounted to $6.6 billion in 2021. This technology awaits even more investment in the hundreds of billions of dollars. The blockchain market will show an average annual growth rate of 56% in the forecast period from 2022 to 2029. NIDA's increasing interest in the development of blockchain is because the technology is in line with the national agenda for a digital economy, the Nigeria Digital Economy Policy and Strategy, NDEPS. The development of NIDA's Strategic Roadmap and Action Plan, SRAP, is a strategic plan towards achieving the NDEPS, and there is high interest in emerging technologies. With blockchain technology supporting these new age concepts, NIDA believes that we can expect that the future will belong to decentralized resources. NIDA DG Kashfu Inua CCIE spoke of the emergence and acceptance that blockchain enjoyed. He said, quote, "After cryptocurrencies gained much traction, blockchain technology emerged as one of the most promising technologies to transform businesses. Today, many large and medium-sized enterprises are exploring the blockchain's potential to make a place in the competitive market. The global market for blockchain technology is expected to grow over $39 billion by 2025. Unquote. Blockchain and its decentralization technology has its applicability in the metaverse. One of the significant aspects of the metaverse design is decentralization, which would enable transparency and seamless access to the metaverse. The DG added the blockchain pushed for the emergence of digital transparency and integrity, leading to extensive changes in business models and governmental functions. He said, quote, "Aside from decentralization, metaverse also relies on blockchain capabilities for ensuring user governance privileges alongside verifiable provenance. It will facilitate the development of Nigeria's digital economy by supporting our digital transformation agenda in a way that promises efficiency, transparency, and productivity. Innovators in various fields are maximizing the benefits of this incredible technology, from medicine to agriculture, finance, governance, education, transportation, and across the global supply chain. Innovators are exploring ways to use blockchain technologies to disrupt and transform traditional process models. With its decentralized and trustless nature, blockchain technology can lead to new opportunities, benefit industries through greater transparency, enhanced security, and easier traceability." Unquote. NIDA is inclined to deploy its statutory responsibility towards innovative technologies to develop strategies for a healthy IT ecosystem that encapsulates emerging technologies such as blockchain. Again, the DG said, quote, "We developed a blockchain adoption strategy to facilitate the effective utilization of blockchain technology towards creating a digital economy. The strategy outlines the roadmap and schemes for the adoption of blockchain technology by the government in the digital transformation agenda in a way that supports efficiency, transparency, and productivity." Unquote. NIDA Blockchain Scholarship 2022 scheme, in partnership with Dominium, is aimed at training 30,000 Nigerians on blockchain technology for developing career skill sets in emerging technologies. NIDA, through its national blockchain adoption strategies and implementations, is certain that Nigeria can capture a market share of about $10 billion through blockchain technology by 2025. NIDA's blockchain adoption strategy is built on 6 initiatives: establishment of Nigeria Blockchain Consortium, strengthening of the regulatory and legal framework, focus on provision of national digital identity, promotion of blockchain digital literacy and awareness, creation of blockchain business incentive programs, and establishment of a national blockchain sandbox for proof of concepts and pilot implementation.
So on our tech tips for today, we still bring you a continuation of basic Microsoft Word skills. Learn how to use Smart Lookup or search. By selecting a word and right-clicking it, you can use a tool called Smart Lookup, or you can call it search. And by utilizing it, you can quickly search the web from inside Word itself. Now, get information about a word, such as its definition, the word's origin, pronunciation, and much more. We'll still bring you more tips on Microsoft Word skills next week.
This is NIDA Impact, your guide to a digital Nigeria.
Up next is Innovation Hub.
Nigeria generates an estimated 2.6 million metric tons of plastic waste annually. Of that figure, only 10 to 12% is captured and recycled. This problem birthed Maximus Recycling Solutions. Through our initiative, the Plastic Bank for Africa, we help people gain financial rewards in exchange for plastic waste and serve as a reliable supplier of raw material to the local recycling industry in Nigeria. And today, I am so excited to have been selected as one of the winners of the Bridge to Mass Challenge program organized by NIDA. During the boot camp, we learned how to develop strategies and implement strategies for business growth. We were exposed on some of the methods on sourcing for finance to scale our business. We're connected with business experts all over the world to help fine-tune our business models in order to make more revenue. Since we got in contact with the Bridge to Mass Challenge program, we've been able to capture and sell 40 metric tons of plastic waste. We've created 5 direct jobs and have empowered over 50 waste pickers.
This is NIDA Impact, your guide to a digital Nigeria.
NIDA, through its national blockchain adoption strategies and implementations, is certain that Nigeria can capture a market share of about $10 billion through blockchain technology by 2025. To learn more on how you can benefit from our activities, kindly log on to our website at www.nida.gov.ng or all our social media handles displayed right on your screen. Until we come your way next time, a special appreciation goes to the President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, the Director General of NIDA, Kashifinu Asisi, and the entire management and staff of NIDA for this program. I'm Joseph Johnson. Thanks for your time.
In a third final in 20 years.
This out of these votes, Yakata. Now you can get a GoTV decoder, channel, and 1 month of GoTV Jolly for only 4,900 naira and enjoy all the show-stopping games live from Qatar on GoTV.
A country endowed with abundant natural resources, one that recognizes that its core strength lies in its massive human capital and its huge population, the fulcrum of its enormous manpower reserve. This is a country that belongs to all Nigerians, irrespective of tribe, language, or religion. And that is why the federal character principle is central to Nigeria's unity. Ensuring balance, fairness, and equity in recruitment into the federal public service and the distribution of national resources. And that is the golden rule for those vested with the responsibility of enforcing that principle at the Federal Character Commission. The mandate is to build the ideal Nigeria, a nation that is fair to all Nigerians.
It's joy to the world.
Oh yeah, it's that time of year again.
FRCN, NTA, and Voice of Nigeria's service of 9 lessons and carols ushers us into the joyous mood of Christmas.
With beautiful renditions from different choirs that will lift our spirits.
Theme, Fear Not.
Venue, National Christian Center, Abuja.
Date, 4th December 2022.
Time, 3 p.m.
Message giver, His Eminence, Most Reverend Daniel Oko, President, Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN.
Special guest of honor, His Excellency, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, GCON, Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Hosts, Directors General, FRCN, NTA, and Voice of Nigeria.
Chief host, Alhaji Lai Muhammad, Minister of Information and Culture.
FRCN, NTA, and Voice of Nigeria's service of 9 lessons and carols, supported by Christian Association of Nigeria.
Come worship with us as we celebrate Christ, the newborn King.
Be there.
Yeah. This is the moment we've been waiting. It's time to rise up, do it again. Africa, do your dance now. God, do your winning dance now. So we never lose it again. We gon' rise up, yes, we gon' rise up, we gon' rise up. Africa rise up, yes, we gon' rise up, Africa rise up.
Grassroots development. President Buhari expresses concern over poor deployment of resources in local governments.
50 million
will be sent to the chairman with a letter that he will sign that he received 100 million.
How has the 9th National Assembly fared? Leadership gives three-year scorecard.
We need to increase availability, quality, and sustainability of services for treatment, testing, prevention, so that everyone is served.
Plus, success story of Buhari administration in HIV/AIDS control. Hello, this is NTA Network News. We are live in Abuja. I am Jummai Yusuf. Michael Olale joins me from Lagos. You can follow this news broadcast on all our social media platforms displayed on your screen. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed serious concern over poor service delivery to the people at the grassroots, which he attributed to lack of administrative and financial autonomy as well as integrity in the application of resources meant for socio-economic development in the local governments. This was while exchanging views with participants of the Senior Executive Course 44 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
Strengthening local governance in Nigeria, challenges, options and opportunities was the focus of the nearly one-year research work by participants of the Senior Executive Course 44 of the National Institute, undoubtedly Nigeria's apex think tank on policy and strategy. Describing their report as of high quality, President Muhammadu Buhari could not help but give his personal experience regarding the unholy alliance between governors and council chairmen in the application of resources meant for grassroots development.
50 million will be sent to the chairman with a letter that he will sign that he received 100 million. The governor will pocket the balance, and then the chairman, money for the salaries will be given, and the balance he will put in his pocket. This is Nigeria. It's a terrible thing. You cannot say the person who was doing that was not educated, yet he participated in this type of corruption. With all the sacrifices the country is making by putting you through institutions and getting you ready to lead. The fundamental thing is personal integrity. It's a matter of conscience.
The President expressed the conviction that recommendations contained in the report by participants of the National Institute will largely assist in the provision of good governance to the people at the grassroots level and win back their trust in government.
This administration has done so much in building trust between the government and the people. It is obvious that government cannot afford to pay lip service to the recommendations contained in this report. I assure you the report will be treated with the seriousness and urgency it deserves.
While challenging the course participants graduating soon to go back and put to use the knowledge acquired in revitalizing, reinvigorating, and reforming their organizations for effective service delivery, President Buhari promised that the NIPS Establishment Act and Condition of Service will be reviewed and passed before he leaves office. Director General of the Institute, Professor Ayo Omotayo, appreciated the President for his impactful leadership, strides achieved in critical sectors of the economy, and continued support to the National Institute towards delivering on its mandate of providing senior policy and strategy experts now contributing to national development.
We equally commend your efforts in handing over to the next generation an indivisible and secure country come May 2023. For us to perform better as government think tank and attract and retain a world-class workforce, we call on you to allocate more funds to the National Institute, especially for research and maintenance of our very old infrastructure.
The Senior Executive Course 44 of the National Institute has 89 participants who, in the course of their research work, undertook a study tour of 14 states of the Federation, 6 African countries, and 6 other countries outside the continent to have both local and international perspectives on matters concerning local governance. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, vision of good governance to the people at the grassroots is seen as a better means of winning back trust in government. For 10 months, participants of Course 44 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies carried out research that could best lead to delivery of effective service to the people at that level. State House correspondent Jide Onifade spoke to some of them on their experiences.
May 2020, President Muhammadu Buhari signed an executive order granting financial autonomy to the local government councils as the third tier of government. This research on strengthening local governance in Nigeria challenges, options and opportunities by the participants of the Senior Executive Course 44 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies is regarded as very germane and one that is reading government's aspiration on Nigeria having good governance from the federal level to the grassroots level. I asked some of the participants about their experiences while carrying out the study.
It was not easy because we in the military, even though we have had a series of leadership trainings, leading a diverse group consisting of so many people from different backgrounds, civil society organizations, MDAs and others, it's not easy. Just realized that it requires a different leadership skill set to lead such a diverse group, and we thank God it was a successful one.
Actually, my job has been tough as well, but I think the experience at NIPS was even tougher. So I think I have been brushed up further to be able to meet deadlines and to offer my services at any time I'm called upon. And then, of course, we provide recommendations in the report that we submitted, but we've also learned something about implementation strategies. Don't tell us do this, tell us how to do it. That is something that we are taking away from NIPS.
The experience is very, very rewarding. It was really rigorous, tasking and demanding, and but it instilled discipline in us because NIPS is very spot on punctuality. But the most important takeaway is that for every recommendation, you must have implementation strategies.
I think the best thing is for the nation to imbibe this kind of situation whereby people from diverse parts of the country will be brought together to discuss national questions, national issues, and bring strategies for implementations.
Everyone comes out a better person from attending the National Institute.
The president applauded the quality of the report, which he said showed the commitment and dedication that has gone into it. He said the institute could be trusted to deliver on very critical and sensitive assignments of national importance. From the banquet hall of the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
One of the policy thrusts of the Buhari administration is tackling insecurity in Nigeria, especially the threat of terrorism. Giving update on the efforts of the administration in tackling insecurity in the country, the National Security Advisor, Babagana Mongono, is optimistic that with the current tempo of operations, the administration will achieve the desired degree of peace and security as well as prosperity for the nation. State House correspondent Jide Onifade tells us more.
Various policy documents were developed and strategic institutions established to lay the groundwork for future coordination to deal with security challenges in the country. The enactment of the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act of 2022 is one of our key success stories in the fight against terrorism and violent extremism.
National Security Advisor Babagana Mongono briefs the press on the activities of the federal government towards ensuring that the issue of insecurity becomes a thing of the past, says the administration continues to strengthen regional and global collaboration, especially with neighboring countries, in order to deal with a broad range of transnational threats.
Proliferation of small arms and light weapons, porous borders, illegal mining, as well as hate speech and fake news. As long as these drivers of insecurity are prevalent in any given society, threats to national security will manifest in one form or the other. Take this from me. This has contributed to the evolving nature of the security challenges we have been experiencing. This administration has been making significant strides towards dealing with the drivers of internal security concerns in the country.
Explaining that security is everybody's business, the security advisor also speaks on the approach being taken to address insecurity.
The administration is equally addressing security concerns in other geopolitical zones, notably banditry in the northwest and north central, secessionist agitations in the southwest and southeast, as well as militancy and crude oil theft in the south-south, among others. We have also continued to strengthen our regional and global collaboration, especially with our neighboring countries, in order to deal with a broad range of transnational threats. In addition, we are integrating societal contributions and support of the citizenry to deal with the drivers of insecurity and improve the degree of peace and security in our country.
Mungunu was the guest at the 60th edition of the executive briefing organized by the presidential media team in the State House. Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Now, the near-snail speed development in the African continent is partly as a result of the inability to embrace common markets, currency and military. At the graduation lecture for participants of Executive Course 15 of the National Institute for Security Studies in Abuja, renowned Pan-Africanist Professor Patrice Lumumba called for decolonization of the minds of Africans for them to collectively confront their common challenges. Kelvin Ohonehe reports.
Conspiracy theory will be big enough to hold down a people with a liberated mind. And that liberation must start with the election into leadership in Africa countries, people with a clear vision of what a progressive Africa should be. Professor Patrice Lumumba, therefore, tasked leaders in the continent to go beyond signing of declarations and treaties, but rise to the challenge of using the vast resources available across the continent to chart a new course for the future of young people whose shoulders lies the hope of the continent.
I'm suggesting to us that there is something that we must look for inwards. Nigeria, when I was a little younger, used to be famous Kaduna, textile industry, leather industry. Then oil came. Everything was abandoned. Today, we are in a crisis.
Commandant of the Institute, Ayodele Adeleke, expressed optimism that the lecture would further enrich the horizon of the participants who have painstakingly applied themselves in the last 10 months to the study of new approach to security and governance. They are drawn from security agencies and complementary agencies, as well as 5 African countries. The event was also used to present a book, Manning the Gates, in honor of the Director General of the Department of State Services, Yusuf Mangaji Bichi. In Abuja, Kelvin Ebonwaye, NTA News.
An extraordinary virtual meeting. The National Executive Council received briefings on the proposed Finance Bill 2022 and resolved to update the draft with additional inputs from state governors as the bill goes ahead to the Federal Executive Council. The meeting, which was presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, members of the council were briefed on the main features of the bill by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed. According to the minister, the proposed Finance Bill 2022 is anchored on 5 fundamental policy drivers, which are tax equity, climate change, job creation, economic growth, tax incentives, reform, and revenue generation, including tax administration. She added that the bill seeks to amend relevant taxes, excise, and duty statutes in line with the microeconomic policy reforms of the federal government and to amend and make further provisions in specific laws in connection with the public financial management of the federal government. Other aspects of the finance bill include chargeable assets, exclusion of losses and replacement of business assets. The minister further noted that extensive consultations have been done in aspects of the bill, such as tax avoidance and tax evasion, by introducing a general anti-avoidance route. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has restated that the present administration under President Muhammadu Buhari has consistently supported states with funds to enable them deliver the dividends of democracy. The minister stated this at the 6th edition of the PMB Scorecard Series 2015 to 2023, which featured the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed. Anthony Fossen reports.
Education and Culture Minister coordinating the PMB Scorecard 2015-2023 series said it is noteworthy that President Muhammadu Buhari's administration has succeeded in beating the record of past administrations in the area of funding projects and supporting other tiers of government to deliver the dividends of democracy, especially the states.
I make bold to say that no administration since the beginning of the current political dispensation in 1999 has done more than the Buhari administration in supporting states with all sorts of financial interventions. When the administration assumed office in 2015, at least 27 states could not pay salaries. Imagine what would have happened if Mr. President had not offered a helping hand without discrimination to the states. But for Mr. President, most of the states would have been plunged into serious socio-economic crisis with their consequences for the country.
Lai Mohammed pointed out that the support to the states was, however, in the face of paucity of funds.
Please note that the support to the states came at a time when national resources had dwindled drastically, and also at a time of competing needs in many areas, including infrastructure, security, global pandemic, etc.
The Finance Minister, Zainab Ahmed, while fielding questions from journalists, first made the point that Nigeria is not broke.
We continue to generate revenue on a monthly basis, and these revenues are distributed as fact. And to continue with the tradition of transparency, we actually disclose how much is distributed on a monthly basis to the various tiers of government.
With increase in oil production, revenue she maintained is not enough to meet competing demands.
Unfortunately, oil revenue is underperforming because of the criminality, but recently NNPC has reported that that has been curtailed, and we're already beginning to see the pick up in the production volumes, which will mean that more revenues will come to the Federation.
The Finance Minister explained the reason for food inflation, among other issues.
In our country in particular, the highest component of inflation is food inflation. What is driving food inflation? Food inflation is driven largely by the cost of logistics. Farm gate prices today in Nigeria have declined. But when you move those crops, those produce from the farm to the market, then the costs are high. So it's the cost of transportation that is driving this inflation.
On funding for the media, she was specific that government is not oblivious of the critical role of the media. Hence, they remain partners in progress. In Abuja, Anthony Fossen, NTA News.
You're watching NTA Network News. We'll take a break. When we return, more reports. Do stay.
It depends you. It depends us. It depends everybody. Yes. But what? Bloodshed, scatter, come out. It no go solve. This one they talk. And make them go if they want go. This one they talk. We go come out, we go. This one say, make we scatter, make we burn, make we do everything. When you scatter finish, where you go? Okay, you go take private jet, carry your family go. But make I ask you, what about your uncle, mama, auntie, brother, sister? What about them? Remember, who throw stone for market? You don't know whether the stone go touch your own person. If the thing will go come out from your mouth, you no go fit gather us together as one people. Shut up with please. War no get friend. You don't know language, you don't know anything. So if our get too much, make we sit down at the table of dialogue. Nigeria na my own, Nigeria na your own, Nigeria na our own. Make we come together, keep them together.
The Minister of State, Petroleum Resources and Chairman, Governing Council of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, Chief Timipri Silva, CON, and the management and staff of the NCDMB invite delegates and oil and gas stakeholders to the 11th Practical Nigerian Content Workshop. Date 5th to 8th December 2022. Venue, Ibom Hotel and Golf Resort, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. Theme, Deepening Nigerian Content Opportunities in the Decade of Gas. The event will feature an invitational golf competition, high-level presentations by leaders of the oil and gas industry, exhibitions, and exciting social events. Register on www.pncnigeria.com. We look forward to welcoming you. Signed, Engineer Simbi Kesiewabute, Executive Secretary, NCDMB.
Our journey home begins with a single step. It doesn't matter which direction we walk in. We'll always find our way home.
There you are.
Sometimes we pick up friends along the way.
Ishaya, our best friend.
Sometimes we make enemies.
People love a good friend.
Because there is no journey without an adventure. Every day we move forward into the unknown. Because every step forward brings us closer to home. This is our home. Join us as we showcase the best from Destination Nollywood. Because Nollywood is home on Netflix.
My people, my name is Emeka. Mekus Kamat. Let me get all this people. I don't learn my lesson. Somebody come buy motor for my hand, carry big money, come give me. Now when we get bust, then my eye open. I don't know say that 419 be. Now when EFCC grab him, then they come grab me too. Now he make me they warn you. All of them when they do business like me, where they carry big money, well I go sometimes I go carry transfer, carry bring back. Yeah. They could shine in my eye because the special control unit against money laundering, what they call SCUMO, they don't want to say if the money pass 5 million naira for individual, you collect them. If it pass 10 million naira for company, you collect them. Can I go where? Bank. If you not do them like that, 250,000 naira for every day where this offense happen. Or they go suspend your license, or they go cuckoo, shut them down, for your hand. No talk say, I know one you.
This message is from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
Major General Haldu Anthony Hanania, retired MNI, cordially invites the general public to the book presentation titled All Eyes on Me. Special guest of honor, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chairman of the occasion, Boss Mustafa, Esquire, CFR, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chairlady of the occasion, Her Excellency Chief Mrs. Pauline Talin, OFR, Minister of Women Affairs, Book Presenter, Engineer, Dr. Abdul Kadir Aminu Mbamba, Walling Adamawa, Book Reviewer, Professor Suleiman Dogoro. Date, Saturday, 3rd December 2022. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. Venue, Shehu Musa Adua Memorial Center, number 1, Memorial Drive, Central Business District, Abuja. For details, contact 0706 676 0488. Announcer, Organizing Committee.
Thanks for joining us. In the last 7.5 years, HIV services have received tremendous improvement, leading to a significant drop in new HIV infection. Now, Mbasi Ita Ekpan reports that this was disclosed at this year's World AIDS Day, where Nigeria is said to be closer to the UN AIDS target of ending HIV/AIDS by 2030.
It is another World AIDS Day. We started with Mentor Mother, not her real name, who came to NTA with just one motive, to share her experience to the wider world and to encourage other women in her situation. She has been living with HIV.
Ignorant.
That is not the story.
summon courage.
Mentor mother has a set of 14-year-old twins who are HIV negative.
Information I got.
She advised other mothers to go for tests. If positive, access treatment and deliver their babies possibly without the virus.
The issue of stigma was very high, but then I was able to come out and assess HIV services and treatment.
And now to the event, where stakeholders say ending AIDS by 2030 requires collaborative efforts to ensure all barriers to inequality are removed in line with the theme.
This year's theme is Equalize to End AIDS, Equal Access to Treatment and Prevention Services. And it calls for collective action.
We need to increase availability, quality, and sustainability of services for treatment, testing, prevention, so that everyone is served.
That the civil society and people living with HIV are always around the table in your discussion, because you can't be discussing how to fight it while people living with HIV are not on the table.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, who was represented, advocates the removal of treatment gap between children and adults.
It is also important that we equalize for our children. Evidence is also suggesting that while 3/4 of adults living with HIV and AIDS are on treatment worldwide, about less than 50% of the children living with HIV and AIDS are on treatment.
The event featured the launch of online contribution to the HIV Trust Fund to ensure more people living with HIV have access to treatment. Basi Taipa, NTA News.
To legislative matters, for exporters who have been owed export expansion grant between 2007 and 2020, the story coming from the Senate is exciting. The legislators have approved 308.4 billion naira for this resettlement of those claims. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Unko reports.
Export Expansion Grant is a federal government program that supports exporters to expand their international businesses. It is accompanied by some financial grants after verification of the value addition of the trade to the economy. Between 2007 and 2020, there has been accrued indebtedness by the federal government. This it seeks to settle as it approached Senate for approval of the funds to the tune of 375.4 billion naira. After scrutinizing the claims, Senate approved 308.4 billion for 194 companies and stepped down 60.6 billion for 34 companies which could not present validating documents for their claims.
The scope of this request cover EEG verified claim from 2007 to 2020, 165 companies.
And the whole idea too is that it allows for inflows into our foreign reserves as well.
I think for us to have clarity on this, why not ask the committee to give us a feedback?
Senate has also passed 607.9 billion naira 2022 budget of the Federal Capital Territory. The budget, expected to run concurrently with the 2023 budget till June next year, has 76.5 billion as personnel, overheads 127 billion, while 403.7 billion is for capital projects.
For the first time in recent time, indigenous companies are going to be more involved in construction of projects that are within their powers to do, so that we can keep our economy moving.
First, it is absolutely necessary that the budget of the FCT comes to the National Assembly in good time, September of every year.
Senate passed the Federal Medical Center Obupa Nsukka Enugu State Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Chukwuka Otazi, and the Administration of Criminal Justice Act Amendment Bill, sponsored by the Chief Whip of the Senate, Senator Oji Uzor-Kalu. Two higher institutions establishment bills passed second reading. The Federal University of Technology Sabon Birni, Sokoto State, sponsored by Senator Ibrahim Gobir, and the Federal College of Education Karim Lamido, Taraba State, sponsored by Senator Issa Shuaibu Lao. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Senate has demanded details of the disbursement of $500 billion loan to the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, especially details of beneficiaries by the Development Bank of Nigeria. This was at the hearing by the ad hoc committee investigating the disbursement. Ignatius Unko tells us more.
It was the second day of investigative hearing on alleged uneven disbursement of funds by the Development Bank of Nigeria. The parliamentary committee mandated the bank to furnish it with details of beneficiaries of the loans and grants by the next sitting.
That you gave 47% of the money that you are supposed to distribute only Lagos. All those details. So the banks will also provide you with the beneficiaries.
The Ministries of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, and the Central Bank of Nigeria are also expected to appear in the next sitting. It was a day of investigation at the Senate as the Committee on Special Duties made it clear that there was no any issue of padding in the budget of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, and demanded clarifications on the provision of 30 billion in the 2022 budget, which the minister said was not released, and the proposed 206 billion for security equipment in the 2023 budget.
And we have given this explanation, and I'm still repeating it, that we are still waiting for the clarification from Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning.
This money we are talking about is not money that comes to the ministry. It's cash contribution to an international, a bilateral project.
I still want to address the press. Please and please and please, don't create issue that is not there. But certainly there was no party.
Investigative hearing continued at the Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption, with the agencies implementing the process of crime, where the officials of the Nigerian Navy appeared before it to answer questions on its process of vessel seizure. The National Agency for the Prohibition of Traffic in Persons also appeared before the committee. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The leadership of the National Assembly has unveiled the third annual report of the 9th National Assembly. Let's join National Assembly correspondent Mobolaji Morimbiri for details.
The 30-page book is enriched with a holistic performance appraiser of members of the 9th National Assembly to increase public awareness on parliamentary activities, particularly as the general elections draw closer.
For us, we want to bring to the awareness and sensitization of citizens that, look, this is what members of the National Assembly have been doing and should be doing. So we put that out for citizens to make their judgments.
The leadership of the National Assembly expressed satisfaction with the facilitators, especially as it enlightened the public on the workings of the legislature.
The barometer for measuring the performance of a legislature should be by the number of bills that he has sponsored and have seen the light of the day, not by the number of weddings or burials that he attends. We have really raised the bar and raised the consciousness of Nigerians as to the actual duty of a legislature.
I want to congratulate you on work done. There is also a lot to be done.
The annual performance scorecard is expected to form a guide to the 10th National Assembly. From the National Assembly, Mobolaji Moribiri, NTA News.
Proper understanding, appreciating and respecting individual differences are necessary for the nation to achieve the vision, unity and brotherhood among citizens. This was the view of religious leaders and other speakers at a one-day national interreligious conference organized by the Kano State Government. Abdullahi Mustafa reports.
We must live in peace and tranquility. This dialogue must continue.
Pulpits in the Muslim and Christian places of worship were virtually mounted in the Coronation Hall of the Kano Government House. It was a national interreligious conference organized by Kano State Government.
Only up, but would not have come at a more promising time as now, when our country has come under the threat of security, more sectarian violence often waged in the name of religion by selfish elements and by selfish politicians.
Key messages, therefore, were on good neighborliness, tolerance and perseverance. The aim is to harness Nigeria's diversity for sustainable peace and national development.
We are
moral empowerment to support any effort or initiative that brings peace and tranquility within our social fabric.
Presentations and discussions of paper topics showcase the affinity among followers of divine religions and the need to be one another's brother's keeper, especially with election season around the corner. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Time to join Michael in our Lagos Network studio for more from that axis. Hello, Michael.
Jumai, Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has reiterated that the Commission will not allow voting without permanent voters card (PVC) in the forthcoming elections. He makes this emphasis at the opening of induction for newly appointed electoral commissioners in Lagos. Samuel Johnson reports.
The Electoral Act 2022, Professor Yakubu explained, will be a major guide for the conduct of the general elections, which is months away.
Any Nigerian who wishes to vote on election day must present his or her PVC to the presiding officer at the polling unit in the constituency where he or she wishes to vote. And the policy of the commission is no PVC, no voting.
Bemoaning the wanton destruction of offices and election materials by suspected hoodlums in recent times, the INEC chairman asked security agencies and community leaders to assist in stemming the tide. Representative of the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, says democracy is under threat in most countries and the onus is on electoral umpires to be as transparent and independent as possible to gain the confidence of the people.
There's a new electoral act, there's a legal framework, and I think this should be the basis of addressing the concerns when they happen. Of course, prevention should also be a part of it, and this is where it's the responsibility of INEC to ensure that it conducts a credible process.
National electoral commissioners and resident electoral commissioners from the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory were in attendance. In Lagos, Samuel Johnson, NTA News.
Key players in emergency crisis and disaster risk management advocating a more robust public participation in crisis mitigation efforts as the surest path to checking unforeseen crises within the ecosystem. Ruth Aria Samuel reports that as prelude to intensifying this advocacy, a workshop was held in Lagos.
Summit with the theme Advancing Innovative Mitigation and Adaptation Actions for Climate Change in Nigeria, post-COP27 initiative is aimed at encouraging conversations around the subject matter, particularly its ramifications for global economy, while educating members of the public on mitigating measures.
Climate change can threaten the resilience and safety of people, sometimes causing them to become displaced from their homes and communities.
Engineer Jamiu Badmus, his paper entitled Strategic Enterprise Risk Management and Business Sustainability in an Era of Pandemic and Climate Change, x-rayed the linkage between sustainable development goals and climate change.
If climate change can lead to flooding and all your farmland have been flooded, how we get food to eat in the country? So climate change has a lot of impact.
Other players in the risk management ecosystem agreed that all hands must be on deck to ensure that potential disaster situations are proactively handled.
Geneva, as a responsible service, understands the impact of climate change, having witnessed it daily in its operations in the maritime environment, and identifies with your organization, with this institute, as you strive to proffer solutions at mitigating the effects of these menace.
We now introduce what we call safe to load process. It's a concept, a policy accepted and confirmed by federal government that we should take the battle to their homes. Any vehicle that is not meeting up to the minimum safety standard is not allowed to be on our roads.
Highlights of the summit was the conferment of fellowship awards and certificates on deserving members of the institute. In Lagos, Ruth Ario Samuel, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time for some messages. The news will be back shortly. Please stay.
Our journey home begins with a single step. It doesn't matter which direction we walk in. We'll always find our way home.
There you are.
Sometimes we pick up friends along the way.
Ishaya, our best friend.
Sometimes we make enemies.
People love a good friend.
Because there is no journey without an adventure. Every day we move forward into the unknown. Because every step forward brings us closer to home. This is our home. Join us as we showcase the best from Destination Nollywood. Because Nollywood is home on Netflix.
In a third final in 20 years.
Out of this world, Yakata. Now you can get a GoTV decoder, GoChannel, and 1 month of GoTV Jolly for only 4,900 naira and enjoy all the show-stopping games live from Qatar on GoTV.
It is with sadness and in submission to the will of God that the family of Right Honorable Goodluck Nana Opia of Oboru Abacheke Egbema in Ohajeboma LGA of Imo State mourns the untimely exit of their wife, mother and grandmother Ezine Florence Nkemnaso Opia, née Okunwa, 1964 to 2022. A service of songs will be held in her honor on Thursday, December 1, 2022 at Right Honorable Goodluck Nana Opia's compound, Abacheke Egbema, time 4 p.m. Funeral church service at St. Michael's Anglican Church, Abacheke Egbema, on Friday, December 2, 2022 at 11 a.m. Interment follows after church service at the family house, Abacheke Egbema. Outing service on Sunday, December 4, 2022 at St. Michael's Anglican Church, Abacheke Egbema. Late Ezine Florence Nkemnaso Opia is survived by her husband, Right Honorable Goodluck Nana Opia, Minister of State, Federal Ministry of Education for Children.
Part of Nigeria. Senator Ahmed said this while briefing newsmen on some issues of concern to the party. Ekene Ndulwe reports.
29th September 2022. 18 political parties involved in the general election consented to a peace accord, giving confidence that the election season will be peaceful and issue-based. 2 months down the line, Vice Presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Senator Dati Baba Ahmed, is concerned that the verbal attacks on the Labour Party presidential candidate by opposing parties and calculated misinformation to disparage the candidate.
His Excellency Peter Obi repeatedly stated at various local and international fora that the greatest physical asset of Nigeria is the vast rich land in the north. To the architect of consumption to production, oil in the north means more revenue for development, more jobs and opportunities.
Assassination of Victoria Chintex, Labour Party women leader for Kaura local government area of Kaduna State, is the height of series of attacks reported by the party against its members. And Senator Baba Ahmed is calling on the authorities to ensure justice is served. The party is planning rigorous campaigns in coming weeks and is urging its supporters to get their PVCs and express their choices at the polls. Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has promised to create employment opportunities for Nigerians if given the mandate to serve. Senator Tinubu made the promise during the APC campaign rally in Yenagua. Doris Akumwe has details.
The campaign train of the Tinubu-Shettima ticket defied the showers of rains as large number of supporters turned out to receive their principal, whom they describe as a reflection of a renewed hope. The presidential hopeful of the APC, Bola Tinubu, said the vote for him will bring about development and reduce the unemployment level in the country. He particularly promised to tackle the erosion challenge which has washed away houses in Bayelsa State. Bola Tinubu called on Nigerians to vote wisely, guide their PVC and ensure that they deliver APC come 2023.
Vote for me. Will make your life better. Vote for Lagos. And see what can make of Lagos. Lagos will improve.
Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipro Silva, who is the Bayelsa State Coordinator, said Tinubu is a great personality who has a track record and footprint as Governor of Lagos State, calling on Nigerians to give him the mandate.
We must vote for the man that will create works for you. We must vote for the man that knows the way.
Speaker, House of Representatives, Campaign Deputy Director General and other stakeholders pledged their unalloyed support for the Bola Shetima ticket.
It's true that this man has developed men and women of consequence in this great country. And no other man deserves our vote.
In Yenegoa, Doris Sakomonye, NTA News.
Away from politics, Acting Corps Marshal Federal Road Safety Dauda Alibiu is advocating preferential treatment for military personnel who have survived war situations while hosting the leadership of the Nigerian Legion in commemoration of the 2023 Armed Forces Remembrance Day. He emphasized that their welfare must not be handled with lethargy, having served the country meritoriously. Oyeyemi Ajayi reports.
Military personnel have given everything to protect territorial integrity of the nation, with paying the supreme price, while some equally survived. The survivors are often confronted with series of challenges ranging from health to psychological ones. Acknowledging the efforts of fallen heroes and those who survived, the Acting Corps Marshal Federal Road Safety Corps Dauda Alibiu pledged the extension of the Corps' support and partnership with the Nigerian Legion.
The population of young leaders are growing every day. So much that we are finding it difficult to cope with the children left behind and their other dependents, plus one their mother.
It is a responsibility, therefore, of everyone to assist the Nigerian Legion so that you can extend that assistance to members of the armed forces who have one challenge or the other.
In appreciation of the Corps' unwavering support towards the organization, the group decorated the Acting Corps Marshal and his management team with the 2023 Armed Forces Remembrance Day emblem. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
Now let's join Benny Adams for happenings in the world of business. Hello, Benny.
Thank you, Juma, and welcome to Business. Ahead of trading in Africa's continental markets, government and business leaders across the continent have described the free trade zone scheme as the continent's game changer if the right policies are implemented and the required infrastructure provided. This was at the 30th anniversary symposium of Free Zone Scheme in Nigeria.
The time is now, and we need to build on the opportunity before us.
Jobs have been created in agro-processing, industrial fields, services, and more than $2.6 billion have been invested in the development of the SEZ projects across the continent.
Nigeria has leveraged on this concept to offer enabling business environment that has so far attracted about $26 billion investment through the existing 46 free trade zones and about 625 enterprises operating within those enclaves.
And still on the economy, the Small and Medium Scale Development Agency, SMEDEN, has commenced training and empowerment of youth in the North Central Zone under the entrepreneurs and vocational components of the National Business Skills Development Initiative in Abuja. The program is put in place to train potential entrepreneurs with skills to help them start and grow their businesses in fashion designing, leatherworks, laundry, and car wash, after which they are issued with startup packs which include industrial machines.
Ice Medan has gone all out to see how they can give them a startup kit to start, especially the youths that are just roaming the street, because we believe in Smedan that the days of the white collar job are over. Then after some weeks, we will go back. We want to monitor them to see what they are, the state they are now, and where they're having the challenges.
And taking a look at the markets, after a record positive close in November, Nigeria's equities market opens the month of December on a negative note, decreasing slightly by 2 billion naira. At the end of today's trading session, a total of 172.8 million shares in 3,073 deals, corresponding to a market value of 2.8 billion naira, were traded. Compared with previous trading, today's data shows 62% improvement in volume, 116% improvement in turnover, but 5% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 26 trillion naira. FBN Group recorded the highest volume of 49.8 million traded shares, followed by Cartville Business Solutions 16.9 million, Access Holdings 12 million, and United Bank for Africa 10.8 million. That is Business News. Network News continues after this break.
This is the moment we've been waiting. It's time to rise up, do it again. Africa, do your dance now. Why do your winning dance now? So we never lose it again. Africa rise up, yes we gon' rise up. Africa rise up, Africa rise up, yes we gon' rise up. Africa rise up. Men do not like overconfident women. Don't touch me without my permission.
I'm a playful guy and I do get carried away sometimes.
You are selfish, manipulative, and you are a narcissist.
That's all I've done for you.
What have you done for me? She called me back.
You know my mom doesn't know any better, right?
You say that now, but then when you see your mother, you start to act like you're a dead dog. You were supposed to be more careful.
I've been.
Clearly not enough.
You're welcome back, and Sports Update is next.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International,